Hey, welcome everyone. This is Tracy Thomas and Greg Moody here at Rev Talks Podcast, and we're really super excited about our business planning for 2022 and what we're going to be reaching out to everyone today with. And you guys are going to be in for, really a good. I don't want to say a surprise, but the influencer marketing it's arrived and it's here to stay. And when I say it's here to stay, in 2022, if you're not on board with this, you're just going to be well behind in 2023 and 2024. So let's just listen in, guys, and I hope you really enjoy it. And Greg, anything you want to add on to that with regards to what we're going to be doing?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different ideas about what influencer marketing is, and probably everybody on the podcast here has heard about influencers. And we're going to really get into what that means and how you can use it for your business and how you can be an influencer or use other people as influencers. So it's really critical that you know this. You really can't avoid understanding influencer marketing for growth in 2022 and beyond right now. It's really critical for your business.
Absolutely. Yeah. So maybe we start off with a couple of these, like what is the influencer marketing? And this question comes up a lot of times. People ask us, what is an influencer marketing? Influencer marketing can be, there's quite a few things that it does and what it is, but basically you'll see it a lot with people will reach out to other people to get somebody that can influence their business. And that could be everyone from a blog, that could be from a podcast, somebody outside the organization. And it could be a movie star, it could be a singer. But really what we're seeing now with success and all the data we're seeing last year and how it's kind of become a niche influencing marketing is really more about people in their local communities using local people or themselves. And what we saw, and Greg and I are going to talk a lot about today, is how we've really grown in the last 2 years with our helped our companies grow that we're working with the clientele with, as far as the influencers as an author or someone who has like a white paper on their website. They're doing their own podcast, their own blogs on their own website. Whereas Greg, you can add in a little bit here in a second here, but I think, Greg, what we see commonly is we see a lot of people that are podcasting. They're podcasting on this podcast platform, which is really awesome. You got all these people subscribing and everything else, and you might even make some money off Google. With people clicking your on your podcast and whatnot, or YouTube video. But the podcast on your website is about generating traffic. So if you're a plumber or you're a doctor or you're a lawyer and you have a podcast on your website and you're the influencer and people are going there to see you, that's what makes the huge difference. Increased traffic. And that's what an influencer really is all about, increasing the sales in your business.
Yeah, it's really important to keep a couple of things you said there, Tracy. One thing that's really critical is to keep in mind what your objective is. So the first thing that you started talking about is what is an influencer and what that means. In the olden days, an influencer would have been you hired a movie star or you hired a sports personality to be the spokesperson for your business. You hired William Refrigerator Perry, who used to be the guy that people would hire, or they'd hire Charles Barkley to be the person to pitch something on your business.
Spokesperson,
yeah, right. But what happens on the internet, because there's so much breadth and scope of what happens right now online, is you can be the influencer. Well, how do you get to be an influencer? By being an expert in a lot of different ways. But what's critical about being an influencer is you have the objective in mind for your business. So what people get confused about is if you can now be a celebrity or kind of an internet celebrity or in your niche and be well known as a plumber, lawyer, doctor, martial artist, chiropractor, whatever you are, what's the purpose of that? So the purpose is to drive traffic to your business so that you get more new clients or new members or sales of product or whatever the objective is for your business. It's the same way if we write a book. If we help our clients write a book, we published, tons and tons of books this last year. It's been really booming for us to help our clients publish books. We're writing the book with the objective of getting more clients or getting more sales or getting more things happening in your business. So we're influencing people so that it makes you more of an expert in your business, but with an objective for the right type of traffic that you want in your business. And that's what everybody needs to have in mind, both of these pieces. So an influencer can be somebody that's famous for an external reason. That's okay. And that's the way it used to be. But now It can be somebody that's more well known for having authority and being an expert, and preferably that's you. But you can also use other people that bring expertise to you and combine those two types of ideas so that people recognize you and your business as somewhere that they'd want to go, somewhere that brings traffic to them.
Yeah, and when you said that, Greg, one of the things I want to touch bases on, what you said was really important, that we want them to be the influencer. And Greg, we hear this a lot. Everybody in our company hears this all the time, that they don't believe they can be an influencer because they don't have that brand, or they don't have that name. Well, everybody has to start somewhere. But remember, having something simple as having a book on your website as an author, or a white paper, or a blog or a podcast that people are coming and seeing on your website, that just does, extremely well. You'd be really amazed at what percentage of increased traffic would go to your site, because you are seen as an influencer. You're seen as someone big and powerful, and in that industry, within that industry, or within that niche, whatever that is. Whether, like Greg was mentioning, objectives, whether it's plumbing, chiropractor, martial arts, whatever that is. If you're a martial artist and you have a book of you doing a kick, or a book of you doing women's self-defense, and the book's on there, and you're talking about women's self-defense, and you're an author, you are going to be seen in a different. Remember, we're looking at the personas of how people shop. So you're going to be seeing quite different from the visitor going to your website, that goes to your website with your book on it, versus somebody that has a website that may even be a better website necessarily. I doubt that's going to be if it's ours, but it might even be a better website. But what it's not going to have is that author, that influencer marketing, which is you being an author. And we're typically seeing about 24 to 30% increase on traffic with downloadable books and white papers.
Yeah, and we want to be able to understand that you mentioned an author, which is just one of the channels that you can use to be an influencer. But if somebody really high status, influencer would also, another way you could say that would be having high status. And it's not that you need to be egotistical to have high status, but let's face it, you're marketing your business. So what you want to do is show up better than other people, or show up in more places than other people. Have your customers look at you in a better light than the other competitors out there, or the other options that they have. I mean, if you're selling one Italian food, they have other options of types of food, not just Italian food. So we want to make sure that you look like the most important food option that they have available. So we want to make sure that your status is higher than everybody else. And if you think about status in American society or world society, like having a PhD, for example, is about 1 in 1,000 people. About 0.1% of the population has a PhD, but only about 0.02% of the population has written a book. So just by writing a book, it puts you in a new status level. The other thing that people don't realize, I think, when they think, well, I can't be famous, or I can't be looked at as an expert because I look around and there's other people that might be more of an expert than me. Well, yeah, but most of the time, those people that you look around and think are more of an expert than you are not writing books, but they're also not reaching out in all the different channels that they can reach out. They don't have as much social proof of testimonials. They don't have social media out in as many channels and in many ways as that what we help our clients do. They don't have blogs out. They don't have podcasts out that you mentioned before, or their podcasts are on a different platform that's not connected to their website. They're not in other digital media. They're not doing print media properly. They're not in many other places. So it's really relatively easy to show up better than your competitors or the other people in similar niches. It's really not that hard if you do it correctly, if you're focusing on the right things. And that's what we help people do. So to be an influencer is showing up as more of an expert, more of an authority of anybody than anybody else. And it's relatively easy. Maybe we need to go on to the next topic here, I guess, because I think we've pretty much thoroughly covered that. Definitely. Let's look at influencer marketing stats. And this is really amazing when you think about maybe you haven't been convinced that you need to be an influencer, but the stats on this are pretty amazing.
Yeah. And do you want to pull some of those up, or do you have?
Let me pull up. Let me read off a few of these that we pulled up. In 2021, let's see, what's one of the ones that I thought was really important? 71% of marketers, the people that are measuring marketing stats, said the quality of the customers and traffic from influencer marketing, so from sources that were related to you being an authority, was better than other sources. So one of the reasons we want to do marketing based on being an authority, being an influencer, is that when you get traffic, when you get a lead from a source that comes from you being an authority, it's going to be a better lead than from other sources. So if any of you, generate leads and they come in, or maybe they don't show for appointments, or they don't buy as much, or they may be a harder person to convince to buy your product. If they already thought you were an authority on the way going in, they're going to be 71% more likely to be an effective lead, according to
and these numbers are huge, Greg. I mean, you and I know that what we see with our own clients, and of course we use the term, you'll hear us use the term influencer platform or marketing platform. The influencer platform comes with a blog, podcast, like Greg was saying. It's not just a book, but it's interesting because one of the other things too in 2021 is 58% of marketers said influencer marketing was the most effective marketing trend, above and ahead of search engine optimization, short form video content. It's ahead of short form video content. Now, video is out. I mean, everything from TikTok to whatever it is. So the trend is going towards where I think, and Greg, anytime just add in, but I really believe what I'm seeing right now is I think what we're seeing, we know what we're seeing is, it's just so the web is just so crazy. It's just so busy with all this stuff. You're getting all these different hit with everything. Every day you're getting hit by email, text, phone calls, online ads. It's bombarding you. And this is why all these marketers are saying, hey, look, guys, we got to come back to local. If you're a national chain, you're looking at different local areas. You're trying to get that niche. You want those certain people where you're being seen as the influencer, or your brand is being seen as the influencing brand within that industry.
Yeah. How does anybody know you're different and better? Different and better means you're the most important, you're the biggest authority. What we also noticed in the stats that Instagram, a lot of people think that Instagram is the most important thing for this type of marketing, but we noticed Facebook gives you the best return on investment. So Facebook is really important. Once you've established enough social content and enough based on the other stuff we said, books, podcasts, things like what we're doing right now. Let's see, investment in influencer marketing is going up. 71% of marketers plan to increase their investment in influencer marketing. Let's see what other things were really important. 86% of marketers plan to invest more
and I think right there, Greg, though, that means what you just said right there is the most important thing that I think people need to understand in 2022. And I think we were kind of preaching this in 2021, there mid-year, getting people prepared. And you need to have some type of platform or some type of built into your marketing campaign or your strategy for your company. You need to have something that involves you becoming an influencer, someone in your company becoming an influencer, or something within your company that is the brand, the influencing brand. There's just so many different ways you can do it. Everything, I'm going to reiterate this. We sound like we keep re-saying this, but it's not just getting a book. It's a podcast. It's a blog. It's your video setup. Do you have a video that's set up in a manner to where, like a YouTube video type account, to where some people do use it kind of as a podcast system, but more of a how-to videos, and virtual. Greg, maybe touch a little base on this with right now. Virtual, right now, I'm hearing all these different cities now are shutting down again because of the COVID, and everything's coming back around, and schools are shutting down. Where's everybody going? Back to websites, back to virtual training online.
Yeah, so that means we noticed at the beginning of the 2019 or 2020 pandemic that because who knows when people are going to be watching our video here, they may be watching it later, but that internet traffic, I think Facebook traffic went up 640%. A lot of people are using the internet more for everything now. I mean, certain kind of stores or certain kind of brick and mortar places are going away. So that's one reason it's more important, but that's kind of preaching to the choir for everybody that's probably listening to us now. that's why you have to differentiate yourself. And that's why it's important for you to stand out. And again, it's not hard. Maybe now we can go to the types of influencers that are or types of influencers you can be, or types of different ways you can influence people, or the different types that people talk about. And really one of the things that you need to focus on is you can be all of these in different ways. One of them is a micro influencer. And by the way, you can be some of these influencers, but also one of the ways you can work with people. We have some people that even, maybe do a podcast with one of us and invite one of us to be a guest on their podcast. And that helps them take advantage of the, breadth of our experience if they're doing some business work. But you can use these other influencers to attach to your influence and grow your overall influence in your niche as well. There's micro influencers. These are people that have influence in a really, really small, narrow, focused niche. Let's see. And that could be a really small fashion niche.
Right.
But in some of your businesses, it may be important to focus on. Well, we talk to a lot of business owners and we say, well, who do you want to market to? And they say, well, I really want everybody to come to my business.
Yeah.
And that's really hard to market. Let's try to have the whole world come to your business. Well, okay. I want people within a 5-mile radius of my business. Well, that's still pretty hard to market to. If you can narrow it down, maybe we still want to market to a 5-mile radius, but can we break these up into different niches that we can then have a focused message to each niche? And so if you can really identify who is going to be the people that are going to resonate with you the best, then you could be an influencer in that niche much better. So some of our clients work with kids, but really then that niche would be parents of kids, and maybe this certain age range of parents with kids would be the right ones to be an influencer with. Otherwise, your influence is too diluted.
Yeah. Good points. Yeah. And especially, when you're looking for a specific demographic market that that, and not even some business owners here might not even know this, and that's okay if you don't. This is one of the things that we do for you. And we do have a free service on that we kind of do an analysis of, analyze what's happening in your local community, if you will, and what type of customers you need for this influencer marketing. But another one, Greg, is the celebrity, influencers.
Sorry to interrupt you, Tracy, but there's probably a link on this page somewhere that they can click on that you can set up a time with us to do.
Oh yeah,
to deal with all
definitely.
that stuff. So make sure you click on that. We forget to mention that sometimes.
Yeah.
But
definitely. I appreciate it.
We'd be happy to go through that with you.
Yeah, definitely. And keep in mind the celebrity influencers, you hear a celebrity, I can't afford to hire, even a local musician or a local news celebrity. You'll see people advertising on television. We got clients that advertise on TV, and they're using the TV, and the TV's using them. So they're all kind of doing it both ways with the celebrity influencer. But keep in mind, you have somebody that's a client of yours that's a celebrity, a local celebrity. It could be a surgeon. It could be an attorney. It just depends on what type of business you're in. There could be a lot of different ways. You have to be creative. But just imagine having someone on your podcast or your blog. You're doing a write-up. Maybe you do an interview with them. Maybe you're on one of theirs. Maybe they do podcasts all the time. Attorneys do podcasts all the time. Maybe you're on one of their podcasts and you're the influencer, but at the same time, it's kind of a back and forth type thing it works for both people. So celebrity influence is enormous. I mean, it's huge. I mean, Greg, now that everybody's back at home, we're seeing more celebrities, more movie stars. Well, first they're not making movies, right? More movie stars during COVID have gone to making commercials than ever before in the history. Okay. And what's that all about? More people watching TV. It's not that they're bored and they actually even need any of that income, okay, to make those commercials. They're doing this because they know these commercials are reached because everybody's watching TV right now. It's just the numbers are way up.
Yeah, and you mentioned something a little bit about news stations. A lot of times the news stations, you can, the newscasters are celebrities in your area, and you can get them to come in. It's effectively the same thing as having a celebrity influencer. A lot of times they can come to your business and do some work with you, and it can be free or it can be really cheap, especially if you're advertising on their in their station. Blog influencers are another one. There's a lot of people that are getting a lot of traction on that, and you can be a blog influencer if you consistently blog. Some of our clients, we have the blogs ghostwritten and work with them to write content. So it's not really much work. Or you can write your own content, or if you've written a book, then part of the book can be split up into blog postings and be used to get more content on the internet. The nice thing about that is then Google picks up the content that you've posted with your blog, and it starts growing and growing and growing and growing. And what's really important and what people don't understand a lot of times is when you're growing content this way, and all the stuff we've talked about so far, all that stuff stays out on the internet forever. So the more you do this, the more you grow this kind of information over time. If you stop doing it for a few months, that information is still there. Rather than, we've seen a lot of business owners, they spend a lot of money to market on paid advertising. If you stop paying for advertising, then all that goes away. All your traffic.
Good point. Yeah. And I think you should cover maybe a little bit more on consistency, because just 12 months of building that online footprint, 12 months of blogging just changes your world in business online. It grows your website is growing over and over and over. It's dynamic. It's not static and stale. The search engines aren't looking and saying, hey, that site nothing's been added to that site over the last 6 months. Greg, as well as I do, that's what we see all the time on websites. They have a beautiful website, just nothing happening on it.
Yeah. And we keep on trying to motivate our clients to blog on a regular basis. And we realize, sometimes people don't like to write. That's why you need to get somebody to do that writing for you or help you with being an influencer. That, and all this stuff can be outsourced. So nobody should be, if you're at this point going, well, yeah, I like everything you guys are saying, but I don't want to do any of that. Well, all of it can be outsourced, and it's really easy to do. It can be outsourced and really be genuinely your stuff. It just is going to be, the work done by somebody else.
Yeah. And we do, I can't even tell you, if it's 100 or if it's 200, I don't even know the number of clientele that we're doing it for, but it's a high number, because we know that, everybody in business here, Greg and I are both business owners too, we all know that you're wearing all these different hats, and all those different hats sometimes takes away from what you need to do. And writing a blog, if you like writing, that's fine. If you can't write, then that's fine. Outsource it. It's very inexpensive. It's, the return on the investment is really there.
Okay, well, maybe we should talk about the next topic of finding influencer to be an influencer.
Sure.
Okay, so you're the biggest expert on this, I think, Tracy. But there's really two ways you can go. You can either, as we said before, in the old days, you used to buy an influencer by getting a celebrity to be on your commercial. But now you can really be an influencer, and it's really not that hard.
Yeah, for anybody out there right now that's listening to this Rev Talks podcast with Greg and I strongly recommend you basically click the link on there, meet with us for 20 minutes, go over what it takes to become an influencer. And it's kind of a blueprint, a free blueprint you can get for it. But basically, it maps everything out you need to do. But one of the things is not one of the things, but one of the areas you have to look at is, do you want to be that influencer? Or something in your brand to be the influencer? How is that going to look? Or do you want to outsource that to, like say social media influencers, blog influencers, celebrity influencers, and it could be local people like we talked about earlier. But really, the problem is, and Greg, you and I know this, we see people, we tell them that you need to have an organic footprint. So your bandwidth of income, your bandwidth of money that you have, I should say, your marketing budget is not very wide for some small business, and that's fine. So what they typically tend to do is they tend to go to the paid per click. And then after 6 months, they're burned out on the pay per click. They just really can't afford to keep the pay per click is expensive, compared to organic and whatnot. And what they find out is that the pay per click is awesome, but they see organic, when they're done doing it, it's shut off. You're still not online. So Greg Moody and Tracy Thomas and Rev Talks is no longer anywhere to be found because it's not online. You have to have all these different things we're talking about and put all these puzzle pieces together to create what your objective that Greg was talking early on in the first slide. And that is finding out what your objective is and then going from there. You guys can be an influencer. It doesn't matter who you are. We've heard people say my name is hard to pronounce. I don't look good on camera. There are a million, those are called excuses, guys. Those are literally excuses. You can be an influencer, but there's so many different routes. Don't just say no. Ask yourself how you can become one, and meet with somebody and let them kind of give you some guidance on that.
Yeah, and everybody's situation is unique. Depending on your business, your objective of your business, who you are, and what you like to do. I mean, you may not like doing any writing or blogging, but you may like doing podcasts once we get to you set up and show you how to do it. And then there's ways to take your podcast and turn that into a blog with it really easy and very little effort. So you really need to be an influencer. I would kind of say it differently. If you're not, then it's gonna hamstring your marketing for the next couple years, and it's even going to get more and more important because there's not going to be a way to differentiate yourself going forward. So I think that leads us into marketing strategy. And once you become an influencer, what are all the media that you need to be marketing in, and how you need to use that to drive traffic, and how this affects your traffic. And I think it affects your traffic in lots of different ways. One of the ways that we see that's a big mistake is, like in your podcasting as an influencer, that's hosted on your website, not like in some other platform, for example.
Yeah, exactly. And Greg, why don't you touch bases real quick, so these guys understand podcast, because most people in business are in front of customers. There a lot of the businesses we deal with, there are some product businesses we deal with, but most of them are service related businesses, which means you're kind of hands-on and talking to people. But keep in mind, we have a system in place on our platforms, our influencer platform has a system in place to where every podcast you do automatically becomes a blog. And that's something new we're starting here in 2022. We kind of did it in 2021, but only to an elite group of, we call it our elite group of clientele that we had that were interested in doing it. But it was so big that we want to reach out to everybody. So now one of the packages everybody gets when they come on board with us is one of the podcasts. The podcast turns into is automatically transcribed into a blog. Now you just took up two types of influencers automatically.
Right. And you may take your podcast and you could post it on YouTube, and you may post it on different sources, but everything's going to lead back to your website. Everything's going to lead back to the other marketing that you do, so that then it drives traffic to your business. And I think it'd be like advertising for your business, but never having a phone number on it if you do your podcast somewhere else. And same with your blog. Sometimes people, or your other content that you write. Sometimes we talk to people and they're saying, well, yeah, but I'm posting on Facebook. They put content on Facebook, but they don't link back to their website, and they're not, writing something important. And then, there's no way to find you. It'd be like handing out flyers for your business and not having your phone number on it. It's kind of a weird strategy.
And Greg, you and I just met on Friday with one of the clientele. We did an analysis. The team did the analysis, and you and I overlooked it. I know some of the links we clicked on. What we saw is they had like 8 or 10 different sites out there. Some they're posting on this site and posting on this site, but there's no backlinks or reciprocal linking. There's no linking going on. There's no benefit of doing that if you can't really work your website. Greg and I don't like using the term website because anybody can build a website, right? But the marketing, it has to be a marketing platform. And when I say that, you can't have, if you have 10 different URLs and they're all different sites, and you're just confusing the search engines. And Google will not confuse their clientele, which are people searching for a certain specific keyword. They want to deliver something that those people are going to be most happy. It's very efficient. AI is part of artificial intelligence, is all part of how Google does things, and how it's tracked and all their algorithms. So it's none of us here can think as good as that, right? It's going to be very, very fine tuned. So you want to tune your website and your marketing strategy based off how people are searching, and who defines that. Number one company that defines it is Google.
Yeah. And if you think about it, that makes a lot of sense, because if you were a plumber and you posted some information on Facebook, and you posted different information on your blog and your website, and you had a video that had different stuff and they could fill out a different form there, and you had something somewhere else and something somewhere else on Instagram, and everything was all different, and they all had different URLs and different websites. Now there's some strategies where we will use different URLs and different strategies to kind of drive traffic in different places. So don't get us wrong. Sometimes there's some complexity involved, but it's all thought out to get them to the same place. But if that's confusing, if that sounds confusing, you have all these things going on, well, that's going to confuse your clients and it's going to confuse Google because it won't know who this business is. And what Google wants to do is it wants to give good search results so that when somebody searches for a plumber, let's say, they put a list of plumbers up there that are in the right locations and are servicing the right clients. If they didn't do that correctly, then somebody's going to start using Yahoo or Bing or one of the other search engines. So all these search engines are desperate to make sure that they provide really good results. So hopefully that makes sense to you, why you can't just randomly throw stuff out on the internet. So the marketing strategy is going to be different for everybody. And we need to make sure it's got lots and lots of channels and there's lots and lots of content out on it. And it's not that you shouldn't do pay-per-click type marketing, but we want to make sure that there's lots and lots of content out in the internet. I think Bill Gates was the one who coined the phrase content is king first. And we need to and that's true as an influencer as well.
Yeah, and I want and just make real quick, because we're getting short on time here. But when I say content, that's not just copy. Copy is actual writing, a blog, or printed material type stuff. Content includes videos and the podcast, audio. It involves a lot, and that strategy is one of the strategies that Greg was talking about right there. So I just want to make sure we're on the same page again.
Yeah, and a lot of times people they just do one piece of that, and photos as well. I mean, really everything, because Google's looking at everything right now. All right. So we've kind of gone over examples, I think, already to wrap up. I mean, I think what we really need each of you to do is schedule a time with us, and we've got our link here. So you can schedule a time so that we can go over your individual situation and give you some key pointers, 2 or 3 things, not a whole bunch, so that you can move to your next steps to being an influencer so that you can stand out. As Tracy said, we don't build websites, we build platforms so that you can stand out above the rest of the people in your niche, and you can really be shown to your clients as somebody who's got a lot of authority, or as a business that's got a lot of authority, and that'll help drive more traffic to everything that you needed to drive traffic to your website, to walking in the door, to calling you, every other method that you really want to have happen.
Yeah, and real quick, I just want to reiterate what Greg was saying. There's a lot of noise on the internet right now. When people are searching, there's a lot of noise. The noise is confusing. It's overwhelming. You want to plug your ears. You want to close your eyes, and you need to be able to stand out. So that frequency in which you stand out is going to make the difference. You need to tune into the people that are on that frequency, that specific demographic. And that's basically what the meeting is going to be all about when you meet, to make sure you're standing out above everybody else and you are seen as the influencer.
All right.
And that's about it, Greg. You have anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's it. Let's get to talking to you guys, and we'll look forward to getting a new year started off and the rest of the next 6 months to kick some butt.
Yeah. You guys take care, and we'll see you in the next Monday Rev Talks podcast series. You guys take care.
Okay, bye.